Yo, okay. So basically, what I wanted to talk about is I find it strange that people have pride in their skin color. And, I especially like this goes for like any race, any whatever. Like it's weird that like for example, like you got white power, people are I'm proud to be white and like, like I guess like you got racists like that, but also there's a lot of like I guess in the black community, there's I'm proud to be black, being proud of like their blackness and being a black man myself. Um, I never really understood that. I guess you could say because how could I be proud of something that I never chose? It's just weird. It's just weird to me. I don't really get why that's a big thing in the black community. I mean, obviously, I understand like black people fighting for their rights in the past, but that's something I could be proud of. People fighting adversity. I'm not gonna be proud to be black. That never made any sense to me. Um, and I guess like go further into it. Um, I find it strange how I guess like the modern world or just the world in general, how people like are so obsessed with labels and wanting to be in a group or wanting to I guess like have their identities so tied to an external marker, if that makes sense. Because me, I've never I guess like growing up I've never really belonged to a certain group, if that makes sense. I have a pretty unique upbringing. I'm adopted. I'm half Puerto Rican, half black. Um, I have I have two fathers. One of them's Irish and the other one's Italian. And so growing up, I never really fit into a traditional category. I would talk to other black kids, but them being raised by black parents, they had experiences that I didn't experience. And so but then I talked to other kids who are raised by either like Italian or like Irish, more like traditional families, and then I couldn't really relate to them either. So like because I had different experiences growing up, and so with that kind of came like a different perspective that I don't think a lot of other people around me had growing up, and because of that, it created a lot of distance or like this like separation between me and everybody else, and it wasn't like conscious. It's just something I kind of noticed as I got older and just like continued to live life. And it's something that I continue to notice even now. And it comes through, and I guess like the way that I think or like the way I notice other people behave. Because when I was younger, I would try to emulate it, right? But it wouldn't really fit because again, like I was in such a unique position that all like the traditional external social boundaries or social markers just didn't really apply to me. And so and that's kind of where like my observation of like being proud of like one's skin color, being proud of something that you're born with doesn't really make sense. Because for me, having having certain things that I was born with but I couldn't apply to like certain social settings, I suppose, kind of made me realize like, okay, I have I can't like rely on these things that I was born with to create a certain like certain social connections. So I had to really force myself to build something completely unique, and it's still something that I'm working on now through my art. I'll link my art website down below if you guys are interested in looking at it. But like the whole idea behind my art is kind of pointing that out to people and forcing them to really realize that like you are not like your body. That makes sense. You're not your physical form. You're not any physical trait. And who you are is it's deeper than that, which I think a lot of people realize. I'm not saying I'm saying some like crazy shit here, but I feel as though, especially today, given like social media and technology, there's a lot of emphasis on the physical form and a lot of physical attributes. And I think it's especially noticeable on social media how being born a certain way is just rewarded. Whether um, like for example, beauty is very much rewarded in social media, and in turn rewarded monetarily as well. So I feel like there's a huge obsession with the physical form and people trying to really how do I want to put that? And people really wanting to take advantage or create those advantages within themselves. That's why I feel like the fitness community is huge. Um, the beauty community as well. That's why fashion, I think, is really huge as well, because fashion can kind of make up for or enhance your physical attributes, thus getting that similar effect. But I feel like there needs to be a lot more development within the non-tangible aspects of the self. And I feel as though that can really only be done through art, music, like other non-tangibles, if that makes sense. But yeah, I'm gonna make more videos on this, but I'm just really interested in like the social boundaries, or like the like the societal barriers between like different groups. Because I guess from my point of view, the way I see it is, if you guys have ever played was it Foursquare or Four Corner? It's like a box, and like there's squares, or four squares, and like you hit a ball into each square. But for me, I kind of see like everybody kind of is like born into these certain squares, and for them that's all they really see. Like, oh yeah, this is my square, this is what I'm familiar with. I can talk to people from other squares, but they're kind of different. They're in their square, but all these squares are just flat and drawn on the same pavement. Like, you can walk wherever you want. And for me, I feel as though I was kind of forced to see that a lot earlier than most people. And like, I'm not trying to sound pretentious at all. It's just, I'm just trying to give my point of view up to how I kind of see things. And I think sometimes when you run into people who can't see the flatness of these I don't want to say boundaries, because it's not like something you can't like cross, but these like imaginary boundaries, I guess, when people can't distinguish them from being real or not real, I think it's super interesting. And I think it is it's causing a lot of problems. I think it has caused a lot of problems for a long time. But yeah, the whole having pride in something I didn't choose, I never really got that. But I would love to get other people's opinions on that. And I should probably write a video, make a longer video on that. But yeah, that's all I really got.